So if anybody actually watched the recent State of Play by PlayStation and you actually own a PS5, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, I sure wish I invested in the intelligence build, because only somebody with 62 IQ, such as myself, would ever be stupid enough to spend $500 on this worthless piece of plastic.
Real talk.
And I'm just gonna be honest, you're a special breed of retard if you bought the PlayStation Pro for $700 that doesn't even have a disc drive that you have to buy separately for another $80. After knowing nothing is on the PlayStation 5 and the Pro is such a tiny upgrade, such a minuscule upgrade, you will literally need to break out your magnifying glass to even spot the differences between the PS5 and the Pro version. Like, it's literally a game of Where's Waldo. Spot the differences, but it's impossible. You can't spot any differences because it's exactly the same. You're also probably just a little tiny bit mad and just a little bit salty since you canceled your date with that hot Latina in order to watch this State of Play, and now you will never get those 40 minutes of your life back. And for that cherry on top, now that hot Latina is leaving you on red. But yeah, to nobody's surprise, the PlayStation State of Play was absolute dog shit. It was 40 minutes of trailers from games we have already seen about 500 times at this point, if not more, such as Monster Hunter Wilds, which is what this direct opened with, and woke crap like Split Fiction and Directive 8020. Also, just a reminder that pretty much all of the games showcased, aside from like maybe one or two, are all multi-platform, meaning they are coming to either Steam or Xbox. Like, do you guys see this gameplay that I'm using right here? Do you guys see it? Remember when Sony actually made good games like Ape Escape, Sly Cooper, God of War, and Jak and Daxter? You guys remember that?
This is what old school gaming is about, brother.
Well, you aren't getting any of that here, unless you count the Metal Gear Solid remake, which, wow, can't wait to play Solus remake number 545, am I right, you guys? But yeah, the future of PlayStation is bleak, and if you haven't yet sold off your PS5, then you must just really like being pegged in the, in the backdoor region by Sony, or you just hate yourself, one of the two, or maybe both. So if it wasn't obvious enough, we're going to be reacting to the State of Play, and unfortunately, we won't be shitting on any shills in this video like Worth a Buy. We'll be doing that in the next video whenever I'm done editing my Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 review, which, spoiler alert, I ain't playing through that entire game, okay? I'm just gonna be honest. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is the type of game you'd force somebody to play as like torture punishment. Like, this is the shit that they'd use in Guantanamo Bay. So anyways, the State of Play opened with Monster Hunter Wilds, which we have already seen at this point like at least 20 other times, and is releasing at the end of the month. So like, why the fuck do we need the 50th trailer of Monster Hunter Wilds when not only that, we just had 2 betas for the game, which I am a huge Monster Hunter fan, just to be fair, but I do think the downfall of the franchise was with World and how they casualified the franchise and heavily appealed to the West, which the game lost a lot of the soul and charm of the original games. Rise did add a lot of that soul back, but Wild seems to be further pushing this casualization of the series. I'm sure the game is going to still be fun though, as it's, pretty difficult. It's quite difficult to fuck up the Monster Hunter formula, but it is sad how Capcom has been wokeifying all their franchises. But yeah, if you didn't know, Capcom has removed gender from Monster Hunter. Now we just have body types 1 and 2. So progressive, am I right? They also censored the crawling animation, so now you can't like look up the female hunters, undergarments while you're crawling, or maybe I should say body type 2. I do apologize. I'm sorry for assuming the hunter's gender. But speaking of assuming genders, not only that, but you can also cross-dress. How amazing. That's what everybody was asking. And the funny part about that is there are actual, fake Monster Hunter fans gaslighting all of us that, we've all been asking for this, forever now. Nobody has ever been asking for that. Let's just be honest. Stop fucking lying to yourself and stop trying to gaslight others. And not only that, they're also making the entire cast of characters incredibly diverse. Like my favorite, this Indian kid here, which I don't know. I just hate how he looks and the design of his character. Like, he's just ugly to look at. I'm sorry. But yeah, woke shit aside, I hope the game is good. I didn't try the second beta though, but I played the beta back in November and I don't know what it is, but the combat just feels off and floaty. Just something about it just doesn't feel right. I'm also not huge on the fact that they're trying to make Monster Hunter an open world game, but it's whatever at this point. I'll make sure to complain about that when I review the game after it releases. Next, they showcase Shinobi Art of Vengeance, which is a franchise back from the Genesis, and it's a 2D indie game, which honestly I don't have many thoughts on. I liked the original game, but I don't have any thoughts or opinions on the sequel. Next, they showed Sonic Racing Crossworlds for all of the Chris Chan Sonic autists out there, which to be fair, I do like Sonic Adventure 2 and some of the other Sonic games, but I don't think I care for this Mario Kart ripoff if I'm gonna be honest. It is funny though how Sonic is supposed to be like incredibly fast, but he needs a race cart to race. Next we got Digimon Story Time Stranger, which I've never been a Digimon fan, but hopefully this game is actually a game unlike the previous Digimon game, which was basically just a visual novel. Then we got Final Fantasy 15, or I mean a shitty clone of it, which looks hella generic. We then got WWE 2K25, which if there is one word to best describe this trailer, it's simply put, pretty gay. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, it's gay. I have no idea how long the WWE has been woke, as I don't really watch that shit, nor do I play the games, but we got plenty of diverse, fun characters and women in this trailer, to put it lightly. Next, we got two boomers, one being the hack Randy Pitchford, and the other being Randy number 2, trying to hype everybody up on Borderlands 4. But yeah, they are excreting like some dangerously high levels of cringe energy.
Oh, I'm Randy from Gearbox.
And I'm Randy from Gearbox. Randy, do you have anything else for us?
I think I do, Randy.
Well, what is it? Don't hold out on me, Randy.
I'll feed you, baby bird.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The game is going to be exactly like every other Borderlands game, so if you played Borderlands 1, 2, 3, hell, even the pre-sequel, then you've probably already played this game. In other words, save your money on this woke slop and thank your Latina queen later. Don't forget also to like the video and make sure to join my Latina kingdom, as I, your most pure and most amazing and most beautiful Latina queen, would never lie to you. Ever. Next is a game by EA, and we are finally getting to the good shit. Split Fiction, where you play as two stunning and brave lesbian whammons, which, you know, EA apparently didn't think the game was woke enough. Like, they really thought that wasn't checking enough boxes, so they also made one of them a whammon of color. Now, to be fair, if she's a Latina, which she doesn't really look like one, but, you know, if she was, I could let this one slide if I'm gonna be honest, okay? We can let it slide if she's a Latina, but, you know, if she isn't, and if she's any, you know, other type of brown woman, then, you know, it doesn't slide with me, okay? It just looks like a shitty walking simulator, but wait, you guys, it's in co-op, so that means you can, like, invite your same-sex lover over to play the slop with them. How romantic, how beautiful. Because let's just be real, like, let's just keep it a $1.58. Nobody straight is playing this game, okay? Literally, like, if you're straight and you're playing this game, then you probably haven't come out of the closet yet. And, you know, it's almost June in a few months, so, you know, I guess it might be a good time to come out of the closet then. But yeah, I do love how almost all of these games that are being shown off in the state of play have already been shown off before. Like, personally for me, when I first saw the Split Fiction trailer during the Game Awards, I was so hyped for that game, and it was like difficult for me to even keep my excitement. I just couldn't like hold it in, dude. Now a grand total of 2 months later of painful waiting, I get my next fix of Split Fiction. Thank you, Sony. I don't know what I would have done if you didn't remind me that this game actually existed. Next, we get a game from the creators of Until Dawn and The Quarry, which, to be honest, okay, I don't like understand why, if you were the creators of Until Dawn or The Quarry, you would ever want to like associate your new game with those older games, considering they're absolute dog shit. But anyways, the game is called Directive 8020, which is another game featuring a stunning and most brave whammon of color, because that, you know, that's what we were all asking for, right? Another bald black whammon. Then we gotta like revive George Floyd in the game to bring back our saint, Lord and Savior, all while in the nude, because we are all like hucks out in this bitch. Like, for real though, what's the explanation behind the fact that we are a white guy naked on top of a presumably black guy also naked? Like, really, you can't sit here and tell me that this shit isn't intentional or there's no gay undertones to this, okay? Let's just be honest. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck I am talking about at this point. All you need to know is that this is a movie game with no gameplay, and all you do is just pick different dialogue options which don't really do anything or influence the story in any way possible, and it's just an illusion of choice, as with all of these other dogshit Telltale style games. Like, really, who is still buying these slop ass games? They aren't even games, and they are always incredibly woke, which, yeah, I'm sure I'll get the typical suspects calling me racist and shit, but when you're like playing as a bald headed whammon of color and shit, it's like pretty obvious to recognize the patterns. And obviously I'm not Oasis, as I pray to Saint Floyd 5 times a day, as we all should. And not only that, but I am too also a woman of color. But anyways, can I get some "he ain't done nothing wrong" in the comments? Thank you. Let's give a moment of silence for our fellow brother. Amen. Next, we get the 500th installment of Five Nights at Freddy's. For all of the 10-year-olds out there watching this state of play, or maybe I should say 20-year-olds, because let's face it, everybody who liked Five Nights at Freddy's back in the day is now well into their 20s. But yeah, I'm really shaking in my boots over this Elephant Man and, you know, Mushroom Man over here. So scared. In fact, I think we should just move on to the next game, since this game is like for realsies, like super duper scary. Like, it's just scaring me too much. Next, we get another horror game, but this time it's also releasing on the PSVR 2. Oh my god, you guys. For the 5 people who actually got scammed by Sony, not once, but twice. Once for actually buying the PS5, the next for buying the PSVR 2. The biggest piece of shit with literally nothing on it. But I mean, I guess we're getting one game for, you know, one whole game. Oh my god, you guys, I can't wait. I mean, I guess to be fair, you have like Horizon Call of the Mountain on the PSVR 2, the most astroturfed franchise to ever exist. Because, you know, the 62 people who actually bought Horizon and didn't get it for free, bundled with every PS5 and PS4, were really wanting to play that shit in VR, right? You know, clearly everybody actually wanted that. But yeah, make sure you dust off that PSVR 2, you know, for the 2 people who have it, for the Midnight Walk, which it could be fine to be fair, but I'm just not really that big of a fan of the art style. It is quite sad how far horror games have fallen. For all of the horror fans out there, for all of the survival horror fans out there, all we are getting is 2 shitty indie games: Five Nights at Freddy's, Secret of the Mimic, and the Midnight Walk. Gee, bro, I can't wait for these 2 slop games. I mean wonderful games. These games aren't slop, they're amazing. Consume product and get fucking excited for next product that is absolute dog shit, and spend all of your money on these dog shit games. We then get 3 games all showcased real fast, all being less than like a minute. First off is Darwin's Paradox by Konami. You know, I'm guessing Konami is starting to make games again, which looks kind of fun. That's about all I have to say. Dynasty Warriors Abyss, which I'm not even gonna lie, I thought this was a mobile game. Like, I know this is the Sony Direct or whatever, but this straight up looks like a mobile game. Maybe it's on mobile, but it just says PS4 and PS5, so I don't really know, and I don't really care to look it up on like the Google Play Store or the Apple Play Store or some shit, to be honest. We then get Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny, the highlight of this entire show, a remaster of a literal PS2 game from 20 years ago. You know, modern gaming is dog shit when the only game I really care about is a remaster of like a 20-year-old game. I guess to be fair, there's also the new Onimusha game, which is shown directly afterwards, which is called Onimusha Way of the Sword. I'm glad Capcom is like reviving their older franchises, but again, with modern Capcom, I don't have high hopes, considering they have been making all of their recent games woke and been censoring them, you know, such as the Dead Rising remaster, you know, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 4, Monster Hunter Wilds, etc, etc. Hopefully it's not the case with Onimusha Way of the Sword, but again, my hopes aren't high. Next, we get Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Remake. I've never been a fan of Metal Gear or a Kojima cocksucker like most people seem to be, so personally, I don't really care about this franchise or this game. I'm sure the game is good, but I just don't care. I might check out the original games at some point and maybe review this remake, but I highly doubt it. Moving on is Hell Is Us, which just looks hella generic, and this game, as with nearly every other game that has been shown off, has already been shown off in the Game Awards and or other past events. Literally nothing about this trailer looks interesting or cool, and then because this is a modern video game, it just needs to showcase an ugly woman, and I'm just gonna be honest this time, I'm just gonna cut the bullshit. This space, you know, pirate grandma does not look stunning and brave. She looks really fucking disgusting, to put it lightly. Maybe this isn't even a woman, to be fair, and maybe I should stop assuming its gender, as this is like a bigoted and sexist thing to do, and we here out in the Latina kingdom don't discriminate or make fun of others, because, you know, that's not very cool or nice, and we're not bullies, because, you know, being a bully is mean. Next up is DLC for Femboy Souls, because after the success of Elden Ring, every game needs to be a Souls clone, and modern day AAA developers and indie developers, AA developers, all the fucking developers are all hacks with no talent. They all have to make the same exact game of whatever the current popular game is. I didn't play this game and don't really plan on to anytime soon, if I'm gonna be honest. Then we get Dreams of Another together where you don't use guns and weapons to harm or destroy, but instead use them to transform the abstract world around you. Oh my god, bro, that's so cool and definitely not gay at all. Like, the game just looks like a walking sim where I'd assume you just shoot stuff like in the trailer to open up a door to advance to the next area. Wow, such riveting and innovative gameplay, am I right? We are nearly done with the state of play and pretty much nothing cool or exciting is releasing on the PlayStation 5. Now just remember, if you did indeed buy a PlayStation 5, or God forbid you were dumb enough to buy the PS5 Pro, this is what you have to look forward to on your new shiny hardware: generic slop indie games, woke dogshit Telltale style movie games, and remasters and remakes of 20-year-old games. Not to mention nearly all of these games are on PC or Xbox. So yeah, I think it's time to toss that PS5 in the dumpster and just take the L that you got scammed out of your money. And speaking of remasters and remakes, wow, another remaster, that being Days Gone, the most generic game ever created. You know, I can't wait till, you know, Sony remasters every single fucking game in their library at this point. Like, I get this game has some fans because you play as like white dudes on like motorcycles, bro. Oh my god, that's so cool and shit. So that's like why, you know, all the chuds like and gravitate towards this game and pretend as if this game is good. But let's just be honest, let's just face the reality. It's dog shit. I played Days Gone when it released on Steam years ago, and it was one of the most bland, cookie cutter, and unoriginal copy paste experiences I've ever had the displeasure of playing. It's like the game really did just mark every single checkbox for being the most generic game. Generic open world? Check. Generic zombies? Check. Generic shooting and guns? Check. Generic materials and crafting? Check. Like, people can try and cope all they want about this game being good, but let's just face facts, it's not a good game. A game needs more to it than just you play as a white dude in order for it to be good, okay? Next we get some Gooner DLC for Stellar Blade. Maybe someday PC Master Race will be blessed with Stellar Blade, but unfortunately that day is not today. We then get Lost Records Bloom and Rage, which is by the Life is Strange people, which yeah, we all know is going to be a complete woke shit show, as all of these, you know, type of games are. But hey, if you're a 13-year-old who identifies as a whammon, then, you know, good for you, since I'm sure you'll enjoy this slop and you'll eat it right up. But, you know, for the rest of the functioning people out in the world, I think we'll all just pass on this game, okay? We then get a game called Tides of Annihilation, which, do my eyes deceive me? Is this actually a woman who isn't ugly and isn't bald and isn't of color? No way. So we are off to a really good start with the game already. Attractive female characters, wow. Unfortunately for all of you Gooners out there who don't have a PlayStation 5, you won't be needing that shit to enjoy this, you know, wonderful game as it's coming to Steam. But yeah, the game looks like your standard action hack and slash, maybe getting a little bit of Devil May Cry vibes from the combat. If this game does play like DMC or Ninja Gaiden, then this game could actually be good. Like, this game has potential. Like, I'm not holding my breath for it or anything, but hey, at least we got one new game that could, you know, possibly be good. Sony should have opened with this instead of Monster Hunter Wilds for the 50th time. We then get a very generic shooter called Metal Eden, which kind of looks like Doom, or maybe has some like Doom influence. It could be interesting or good, I don't really know. I don't really care too much either. So, you know, considering Doom the Dark Ages is coming out around the same time as this game, like, I don't really think you should spend your money on this trash when you can just get Doom if you're a fan of first-person shooters. It never really shows a good shot of the main character's face, but at least her armor at least has some curves to it, so I guess I gotta give some credit where credit is due. Next we get some generic ass GTA clone which features our fellow brother Tyrone, and the game just straight up looks like an Unreal Engine 5 asset flip. Am I the only one that thinks that, or is like seeing this? Like, this shit looks like the assets you'd buy on Epic for $200, but instead of spending money on the assets, you just wait till they give them away for free. Then you develop whatever piece of shit generic first-person shooter slash GTA clone this is supposed to be. We even get the shitty generic over-the-shoulder run and gun shooting montage that every single third-person shooter game does for their trailers. So great game, definitely would recommend. That's obviously a joke, by the way. Only buy this trash if you want to depart with your hard-earned money and want a mediocre experience in exchange for that, you know, hard-earned money. And then the final game that the state of play closes on, Sorrows, which is just a CGI trailer. And I don't know what retards are still getting hyped for CGI trailers in the year 2025 unless you ride like the short bus, especially for brand new IPs. But yeah, what a absolute waste of fucking time the state of play gameplay was. 90% of it, hell, maybe even 95% of it was games already showcased during the Game Awards, and of those games, most of them were either WOKE SLOP or remasters and remakes of 20-year-old games, and nearly all of the games are also coming to both Steam and or Xbox. So at this point, I'm sure you're fuming at Sony for scamming you out of your hard-earned $500, and I don't blame you. Sony did scam you, and you did get pegged by Sony. You did get finessed by Sony, and those $500 you spent on it, probably you'll never get it back, as with the time you spent watching this dog shit. But yeah, hopefully my next video will be the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 review, but it's gonna be hard, especially when Avowed Early Access is releasing, I think, later today. But don't worry, as you all know, your Latina queen will never let you down, ever, so don't fret. I'll still be reviewing it and Avowed. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'm sorry you got scammed by Sony if you bought a PS5, you know. It's unfortunate, but you know, that's just how the cookie crumbles.